So now we are going to try to solve a few questions from question number 3, 4 and 5. Okay, let's say I pick question number 3A. So how would you solve this kind of inequalities? The first thing is, we look at the question. It gives you 3x minus 1 greater than 2 multiplied by x minus 5. Okay, the first thing is you need to make sure your right hand side of the inequalities will be 0. So you solve it. So you will have 3x minus 1 minus 2 multiplied by x minus 5 greater than 0. So expand the bracket, you will left with 3x minus 1 minus 2x plus 10 greater than 0. So by solving this equation, these inequalities for the left hand side, you will left with x plus 9 greater than 0. So from this, you can see that you only have one linear factor at your left hand side of the inequalities. So you can directly solve this one. You will have x greater than negative 9 will be the final answer. So actually you need to read the question. They ask you to write down the answer in interval form. So basically this is not in the form of interval form. So you need to write down the final answer. Therefore the answer will be in bracket negative 9 to infinity. Now we move to the next question. I pick question 4 part A. So can you see this inequalities is involving quadratic inequalities. So how would you solve this kind of inequalities? There will be two different solutions. So you need to read back the question. The question asks you to solve using real number line and write down the answer in solution set form. So you need to follow the question. Okay, so what would you do first? First thing is the same thing. You need to make your right hand side of the inequalities become 0. So you will have x minus 1 whole thing square minus 9 greater than 0. Then by expand the bracket, you will get x squared minus 2x plus 1 minus 9 greater than 0. So solving this part, the constant one, x squared minus 2x minus 8 greater than 0. So you will get a quadratic inequalities. So they ask you to solve by using real number line. So real number line, usually we will use the FASPA technique. Okay, what is FASPA? You just need to recall back. So F stand for write down your factor. So your factor will be x minus 4, x plus 2 greater than 0. You will have two different factors here. So what should you do next? A stand for, you need to assume your factor always greater than 0. So x minus 4 greater than 0 for the first factor, and the next factor x plus 2 also greater than 0. Okay, next, solving this, x is greater than 4. The other one, x is greater than negative 2. That is A. So we are going to continue to the next step. Okay, the next one stand for R. R stand for real number line. So you just draw your real number line. You have negative 2, 4, okay, and then just read it. X is greater than 4, so x is greater than 4. So we put the empty circle since you don't have equal there. Okay, and x is greater than negative 2. Okay, the same thing, empty circle. So that is your real number line. So how about S? S is stand for sign. So what would you do with the sign? So at the part that you have the solid line, you will put plus, and the part where you don't have line, you put minus. So here plus, plus, minus, and so for the second line, plus, minus, minus. Okay, that is for S is for sign, and then we go for P. P stand for product, so you just need to product the sign, plus product with minus product with minus, you get plus, plus, minus, minus, plus, plus, minus. Okay, we have FARSP. The last step is A. A stand for the final answer. So now how would you pick your final answer? Okay, so you should look back from your original question, so where you have the factor, so that you get greater than 0. So if greater, you need to pick the plus sign as the final answer. So your final answer would be your x here would be less than -2, and then there x is greater than 4. Since the final answer want you to write down in the form of solution set, so just complete your solution set, then that will be your final answer. Okay, that is the first step. Beside this kind of solution, is there any other alternative way that you can use in order to solve quadratic inequality? Yes, you can use graphical method. Okay, so how would you use graphical method? So I will take the same equation and the same inequalities. Okay, the alternative for this question, the same thing, the same step until you reach the factor where you have x minus 4, x plus 2 greater than 0. Okay, so you usually still remember how to draw the quadratic equation graph, right? So either it is smile graph or it is sad graph. So for this equation, you will have a smile graph. Okay, where your root will be either -2 or 4. Okay, so same thing, how would you pick the final answer? Look back at your sign of inequalities. There you have greater than 0. So if greater, you need to choose outside. Okay, so this is the area of your final answer. Same goes for the previous solution. Your final answer would be x is less than -2 or x is greater than 4. The same thing. Usually the graphical method will be the easiest way to solve quadratic inequalities, but you still need to refer to the question. If they ask you to use real number line, then you need to use real number line. If they don't ask you to use specific method, you can pick any method that you think it is possible for you to do it during exam.